Good evening, everyone. What is up? It is Fenner. How are you doing today? It's time for some Tracer tips. My most played hero, my favorite hero, and the hero that I generally win the most on. Let's get straight into it. So first off, the biggest thing you can do with Tracer in a game, which is super simple, is pair yourself up with a Zarya. Whether you're queuing with a Zarya or you're asking someone on your team to pick Zarya, the strength of Tracer plus Zarya is just massive. Tracer's ultimate is actually not an easy ultimate to hit, and usually if you're just throwing it out without anything to combo with it, it's going to get one person maximum. Obviously, sometimes you will get those scenarios where you get more than one person. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but if you're with a Zarya, almost half of your bombs will be extremely effective. And if your Zarya is really good at building her ultimate fast, then almost all of your bombs become extremely effective. The other thing to make note of when you do have a Zarya on your team is to make sure you are syncing your ultimates with the Zarya. You always want to be asking your Zarya what her ultimate percentage is, especially if you have your own ultimate. If she's at 80%, generally your best option is going to be to wait for her to get her ultimate so you can combo with her. If you've got your ultimate and she's like 25% or below, maybe 30%, you're probably better off like getting it out as fast as possible and then trying to rebuild it for the next Zarya ultimate. Tracer's bomb generally does build faster than Zarya's ultimate as long as things are going well, and sometimes if it's going really well you can build two ultimates in the time that it takes your Zarya to build one ultimate. It all depends on how good you are, how well things are going, and how good your Zarya is, and it's just something you've got to keep track of. But definitely do your best to sync up your ultimate with your Zarya. It is huge. Next up is positioning. Now this is an extremely broad and complex topic, but I'm going to try and condense it down into an actual tip. Positioning along with aiming is the #1 skill to get good at with Tracer. And the general idea that I have about positioning is to always be safe. When I first picked up Tracer and when I see a lot of new Tracer players, they're always diving really deep, trying to be in the backline, be behind the enemies, being really risky trying to get those picks. However, you got to consider what Tracer is good at. Tracer is good at pulling away the attention of the enemies, but you don't want to do it in such a way that you're taking a massive risk so that you die. You're going to end up giving the enemy team too much of an advantage every time they do kill you. So here's my rule for positioning with Tracer. You want to be away from your team to the side or the back of the enemy team, but you want to do it so that you're safe. The idea is to pull away the attention from the main battle as much as you can without putting yourself in a risky spot. Usually this means either triple blinking in and rewinding, or being to the sides of the fight, either to the left or the right, and keeping 3 blinks up so that if things do get a little bit hairy, then you can get out, or being behind a wall so you can easily strafe in, strafe out, or blink behind the wall and still be safe. This is a massive experience thing, but I think if you live by this kind of rule of distracting the enemy team but being safe at the same time, while still being able to output damage consistently. Alright, so now that we've got the positioning set in our minds, we understand that Tracer's main goal isn't to dive in and get risky picks. So this brings me to look for the weak targets. When you're playing Tracer, people will fuck up. And even when you're not playing Tracer, people will fuck up. They will be out of position, they will be in the wrong place, someone will get low HP and you could dive in and pick them off. So you need to be very aware of what is going on. If you see a soldier away from the main group when he's on half HP, go and get him. Go for the kill. These are the kills you're looking for. You're looking for the picks that are fairly easy and are not really going to put you at risk. And your goal as Tracer is to try and force those situations by playing safe and distracting the enemy and forcing them to screw up. As you get more experience with Tracer, you will see a lot more of those opportunities open up where you know you're safe and you can go in for a pick. Sometimes a safe pick is right in the middle of the group, but you know you can triple blink in, get that pick, and then get the rewind, get out. You're still safe. But recognizing those scenarios takes time to learn through experience. But looking for the weak targets is generally going to be your play. Which brings me to the next tip. If you are in trouble, just hide. Since one of your primary focuses is just being able to distract the enemy, if you end up behind enemy lines, which will happen with Tracer, and there's a soldier looking at you, and there's an Ana looking at you, you can't fight them. But if they are looking at you, trying to find you, that is time investment, big time investment. You don't need to take the risk of diving on the soldier, trying to kill him and then getting out, or trying to speed out. Like, your position is not that bad as Tracer there. You have to try and think of the enemy attention and the fact that the soldier is not doing DPS to the shield and that Anna is probably not healing as much as she could do. And then you will start to realize that hiding in that scenario is actually a pretty valuable option. This goes for thinner scenarios as well. Let's say you're 1v1ing a soldier and he drops a healing station on the floor. Taking soldier on while he's got a healing station on the floor is a very bad idea, but I actually see a lot of Tracer players doing this, and the best thing to do there is literally just go hide behind a wall, wait for his healing station to run out, and then go back in. There's no reason to take these unfavorable engagements, because most likely all the time you're behind that wall, he's not doing anything for the team anyway, he's just looking for you. You're just timing out the healing station. You're still a distraction. I guess the conclusion of this tip is if you have the attention of an enemy while hiding, then it's not such a bad idea to do it. Just don't hide randomly with no attention on you. That would be bad. And the last tip here is if you do have the attention of multiple enemies, if you've distracted multiple enemies, make sure you communicate that to your team. Tracer takes a lot of focus to play, but communication is still very important to playing Tracer well. If you pull 2 people to the back of the site and they're no longer watching the choke point, then that is a huge advantage for your frontal team to push in and do damage and get the lead and push into the point. However, if they do not realize that that is happening, which is kind of hard sometimes if they're just spamming in a choke point and they're just looking at the Rhine shield, then they may not capitalize on the advantage they've got. You'll be surprised how often this happens and how much you really do have to communicate the fact that you pulled 2 people away and it's time for your frontal team to push and take that advantage. Such an important thing to do with Tracer is to communicate what is happening with the enemies if they are very well distracted. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these tips. If you found them useful, it would be nice if you shared this on social media or something like that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace.